So now we're going to head into kind of guitar heroics, and we're going to have a look at building a big lead sound. And this is kind of in the style of Joe Satriani. So here's what we've got. Okay, so first off, let me apologise to any Joe Satriani fans, or Joe Satriani himself, for that poor imitation. But you kind of get the idea. It's a big lead sound, and you might think this is made with a really high gain amp. But I'm using this British vintage stack with a gain set on 3. And it's actually the vintage stack clean preset. Now, all of the distortion for this sound is coming out of Pedalboard. And I'm actually using 2 drive pedals for this. Now, the main drive tone is coming out of this double dragon, and I'm pushed the drive right up, and I've got the input quite high with a lot of squash to compress the sound. And it's set to bright. And basically what I'm doing is I'm just pushing it slightly with this vintage drive. You can see the drive is set to virtually non-existent. Now, if I just mute this backing track here, and just mute my effects out, and let's just have a listen to the end, and we'll have a listen with just the double dragon. Okay, let's play this. And here, by adding that vintage drive, we're just getting that little extra push of distortion and a little bit of extra bite. Now, I normally wouldn't recommend running 2 distortion pedals together, but in this case it was kind of necessary. So let's hear this on a faster passage. Okay, so we can hear that adding that little bit of extra gain there. Now, the reason I did this was because I tried to push the drive and the input up on the double dragon, but it kind of wasn't giving me the distortion I was after. So using this vintage drive to just boost the front end of that pedal was what I had to do. Now, here I have an EQ, nothing special here, and I've just added some compression to the sound as well. And it's actually imperceivable. They're pretty balanced, the compressed sound and the uncompressed sound. Okay, so the compressor just kind of leveling things off there. So let's move on now to the effects. Now, over on bus 1, I have a Space Designer, and I put a high-pass filter over this just to take out some of the bottom end from about 430. And I've got this preset called Nice Plate here, which is going to add some space to the sound. Okay, that's giving it that very Guitar Hero anthemic quality to it. So over on bus 2, I just have a stereo delay set to a dotted quarter note and a dotted eighth note. And I filtered this down a little bit so it doesn't kind of interfere with the main sound too much. And it has its own little kind of space to maneuver. So let's have a listen to the delay on that. Okay, and you can hear those delays trailing off there into the sunset. Now, one thing I found making like a high gain sound like this was I was getting a lot better results putting the distortion in Pedalboard and driving these 2 pedals together than I was by putting a distorted pedal into a distorted amplifier. I found that the noise kind of became a little bit uncontrollable. And you'll notice here that I'm not even using a noise gate on the front of this sound, even though it's really high gain. And I know the notes are sustained and there's not much space between them. And maybe that's why I kind of got away with it. And there you have the big lead guitar tone in Amp Designer and Pedalboard.